You want to know the truth? I use AI for all of my book covers. And no, I'm not sorry about it. And it's not because I don't respect real artists. It's not because I'm trying to take shortcuts, but it's because I'm an indie author who writes at least 2 books a month, and I don't have the time or the patience to wait 6 weeks for someone to maybe get it right on the third try. I'm running a business. I'm not building a shrine to outdated expectations. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what AI tools actually are and what they aren't, and why, if you're a writer trying to build a sustainable writing career, you need to stop romanticizing the struggle and start thinking like a professional. Like I said, I'm an indie author and I put out 2 books a month at minimum in an ongoing series. I don't have the time for waiting around weeks for iterations and changes and then hope the final product matches what I had in my head. I need covers that they fit the tone, they fit the style of the aesthetic of the brand that I've built, and they look professional enough to hold their own on Amazon's crowded shelves. So I use a tool that lets me do that, and I'm going to keep doing it. There's this there's a strange idea that kind of makes its rounds back into the indie circles every now and then, that authors somehow owe the art community their business. That if you're not being a human artist, you're betraying some kind of unwritten code of ethics. I want to make this clear for every author out there who's going to watch this. You don't owe anyone anything. You're not a publishing house with a big marketing budget. I'm a full time writer trying to run a business. If I hire someone, and I have in the past for my other books, it's because I choose to, not because it's some part of, internet guilt where people tried to get me into thinking I was cheating by using a different tool. AI is not stealing from artists. It's giving creators like me and others more flexibility, more speed, and more control over how our work is presented to our readers and the rest of the world. I care about the stories that I tell. That's where all of my creative energy goes. I care about the writing, the character work, the pacing, the voice. And that's the part that I pour myself into. And that's where my craft lives. But when it comes to production, I treat it like what it is. It's a job. I write books, I sell them. I don't make a dime until readers pick them up. I don't have a book deal where I get these big cash advances from a publishing house. I ghostwrite for a publishing house, and their authors get all those advances, but I don't. I probably could, but we're not going to jump into why the trad publishing market doesn't work for books like mine, which is why I'm in the indie space. But if I spend more money on covers than I make in royalties, then I'm not a writer. I'm a hobbyist with debt, and that's not the kind of writer I set out to be. I want to write books and I want to put them in front of readers as fast as possible, because we've over romanticized the idea of the struggling author. That tortured genius writing by candlelight and eating ramen while saving up to maybe one day afford a commission cover from a stranger online. It's not noble, it's not practical, and that's not how you build a sustainable writing career. And for indie authors who are trying to make a living doing this, you can't pretend that sentimentality pays the bills, because it doesn't. What matters to authors, and the only thing that should matter to authors, is the authenticity of the story, the world that you're inviting readers into. And if I can use a tool that lets me create a visual gateway into that world quickly, cleanly, and in a way that actually fits the books, I'm going to use it, and you're allowed to do the same. Now, don't get me wrong, AI doesn't touch my books as far as the content and the writing. It doesn't create my characters. It doesn't do any of the of actually crafting a novel. But what it does do is help me keep up with the pace that I've set, and I can present my work in a way that it deserves to be seen. Now, I've heard the argument on several occasions when this gets brought up that it's about respecting the art. Look, if someone wants to commission a custom piece, that's awesome. Great visual artists out there, they deserve great clients. But don't try to twist it into some moral failing if someone chooses not to. That's not respect. That's gatekeeping. And it's the reason that we became authors to begin with. AI isn't replacing artists, it's replacing overpriced stock photos, lazy template covers, and the soul sucking process of begging freelancers out there to deliver something on time that doesn't look like it was made with Canva. It's that simple. See, if anything, AI forces you to be more intentional. You just can't slap in a line of text and get gold. You have to know exactly what you're trying to say. You have to know the mood, the composition, the whole vibe, and you have to tweak it and rework it and rethink it. And if you're doing it right, you're still curating it and you're still directing it and you're still building this cohesive visual identity for your book or your book series that keeps readers coming back for more. And the readers, let's face it, they don't care how the cover was made. They care if it looks good and they care if it fits and they care if it feels like a real book, not some slapdash mess that you put together in 5 minutes. They really care about what's inside. And that's what makes them buy the book. That's what makes them buy the next book. And that's what keeps them coming back. Not whether or not I paid some random guy in Belgium to draw it from scratch. No one has ever left a review on anyone's books because they said, well, the cover wasn't hand painted by an artist living in his basement who is surviving on Skittles. No, that's not going to happen. The outrage around this stuff always seems to come from people who aren't putting out books. They come from people who aren't trying to make a living at this. They come from people who would rather protect the idea of what being an artist means than actually build something for an audience. And that's fine. They can chase purity all they want, but I'm chasing readers. I love storytelling. I love art. I love the whole craft and discipline that comes with it. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, when I've sold enough of these books, I'll have them all redone by some great artist. Or I won't. I don't know. But as far as where I'm going to spend my time, and you as a writer, as far as where you want to spend your time, it should be in the production of the book, the writing, the story, making it worth reading. And I don't really care how many iterations of AI are out there. You can't replicate that without it being noticeable. Now, the packaging, the logistics, all that other stuff, let whatever tools get the job done. Don't let someone else's opinion decide what tools you're allowed to use and get in the way of the consistency and the quality of the books that you're trying to write. This is what being an indie means. There's no middlemen, there's no gatekeepers, there's no asking permission. You write it, you package it, you publish it, you connect it to your audience. And if something helps you do that faster and better, use it. That's not cheating. That's not screwing over the artist community. That's freedom. And if you're still stuck on whether using AI art is right or wrong, you're probably not putting out books. And if you are, you're probably not putting them out fast enough to understand why it really matters. If you want to be a broke portrait artist waiting to afford your next commission, go ahead. Don't pretend that makes you better than the indie author who's treating this like a real business and using the tools that keeps their stories moving. At the end of the day, readers care about the story and nothing else. They want to be pulled into the book. They want to believe in the characters and they want a damn good book. And that's what I focus on. That's where my energy goes. And it's where yours as an author should do. And that's where yours as an author should go as well. AI is just a tool. And if using it to create a badass cover lets me keep the aesthetic and keep the momentum, I'll use it every time. Because as a writer, an indie writer, I'm not here to ask him. Neither are you. We're here to write stories that matter. And if you're doing the same, you don't owe anyone an apology either. All right. I'm going to get off my soapbox now. I'm sure this one is going to get a lot of flack. I can't wait to hear how many people this one makes mad. But it is what it is. I'm going to continue to use tools that allow me to put out my writing faster. You're a writer, be a writer. And if there's any tools out there you can use to package the books faster, then use them. You don't owe anyone an apology. But that's going to do it for this one. And I'll see you guys on the next one.